Hello witches, it's Stragabella. This video I wanted to talk about the shadow self and the importance of doing shadow work. Since I've been doing shadow work and actually making some progress, in the beginning it might be hard when you first start doing it because it really requires giving in to letting that part of yourself be known consciously. First of all, the way to begin is to, anytime you find yourself making a judgment about somebody or something, instead of making the judgment, think of where the judgment is coming from. Usually any judgment that you make is coming from a part of you that you are told by society or conditioned from an early age to repress. Things that make you, rub you the wrong way or really upset you really usually come from that. Apart from like simple somebody hurt your feelings or whatever, but even that can come from the shadow self. From a very, very early age, from babyhood, we're conditioned in this way. And I've really been doing some work with that and reading. Yesterday I came across this book in my attic. I don't know if it's going to show up backwards in the video. It's called Necessary Losses: The Loves, Illusions, Dependencies, and Impossible Expectations That All of Us Have to Give Up in Order to Grow. It deals with all the stages in life, from infancy, from being expelled out of the womb. That's your first separation and your first sense of loss, is the mother. And it goes all the way on to getting old and, the changes that you go through when you lose your parents and when your identity changes and all of that. Throughout life, we are conditioned to be what others expect of us. I'm going to pause here to show my daughter's lovely jeans. Okay. No. Okay. They look awesome. She's a size 1, so we can all be very jealous. So anyway, and the patriarchal society that we live in, that is a conditioning that we have all accepted and been led to believe is right for many, many, many centuries. I also came across an author, Mary Daly, or Daly. She died in 2010, but she was a feminist author who wrote about these types of conditionings. She wrote a book called, oh no, I forget. She has a bunch of books, and they're all really amazing. The gyna ecologist, basically gynecologist, but with ecologist at the end, is one of the more famous ones. And then there's something about getting rid of God the Father, like why is he the Father? In ancient times it was the goddess. I'm dying to get her books. I haven't read them yet, but I read the reviews and they are amazing. And she was a very active feminist, very controversial. Everything I've heard has said, don't just delve right into her. Read a little bit about her life and what she was about before you just dive in, because, sometimes it can be kind of shocking. So, I'm dying to start reading her stuff. But the thing about shadow, as you bring it into the light more, you realize that shadow is part of light. Shadow wouldn't exist if there wasn't light shining on you. You wouldn't have a shadow. And when you look at the fables of how vampires don't have a reflection in the mirror and they don't have a shadow, well, that's why, because they're of the darkness. Anything that's pure darkness and there's no light can't have a shadow. So, really, if you are being authentic and you're being true to who you really are inside, you'll stand in that light, and it will envelop you, and your shadow will be there as well. And that's when you're being who you are. You need the shadow to be truly who you are, to reflect the light properly. If you hide from the shadow, you're in the darkness. You're trying not to let the light shine on you. And what is light? Light is the source. You know, if we're working with, as witches, with energy and what comes from the source, you know, that spark of life comes from the spark of light. Energy, when energy, you know, there's a spark to it. You can see it in electricity, you see it in lightning. It's just like reflection of light. So, I'm really learning not to fear shadow, not to fear those kind of things as much as society conditions us to do so. And I'm noticing more and more how many areas of life we really are conditioned in. Every time you find yourself hearing, even if you're not doing it as much because you've done your shadow work, you hear it every day, people all around you making stupid judgments. You see it in every advertisement and labels and everything that they're trying to tell us that's untrue. Especially with like, you know, the government is trying to put a ban on being able to like grow your own food and have your own raw milk. I believe a quart of raw milk is like $40. That's insane. That is so insane. It would be cheaper to go out and buy yourself a cow and milk it yourself than to go to the store and try to buy a quart of raw milk. But we just, you know, we just go along with our days and we make do. And we try to, you know, ignore it and think it'll go away, but it won't. I don't know why I'm being so deep and philosophical and political today. I guess I'm doing too much shadow work. I did a lot yesterday. But I just thought I'd talk about it. And I am also doing a lot of work at this point with the darker aspects of the goddess and the darker side of the moon. So maybe that's why these things are coming to me. And it's been so freeing. I cannot even tell you how it almost brings tears to my eyes because since I started doing all this shadow work and stuff, it has been more freeing in just a few months of doing it than I have felt in the last decade. So, yeah. Alright, guys. Blessed be. Bye.